record this computer, and 1 and 2 and 3 are we're on air. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the largest and most exciting and the fastest growing last meetup of the world, New York City meetup. I would like to thank you all for joining on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. It's Sunday still. It's a family day, but thank you for being here. I am pleased and honored to have two special guests today, both of whom I have known for many years. Ari Tikka and Ran Nyman from Finland. Just a few words of intro about each one of them. So Ari, him and I actually, we have spoken together at the last conference. In the past, I've done some collaboration, and Ran I know a lot from the Less Trainers community. So Ari built software for embedded distributed fault tolerance software systems for years. He is also an organizational consultant and therapist with a focus on cultural changes and teamwork and leadership. He has contributed a lot to less flavored agile transformations, which include mechanical engineering, market automation, and embedded systems. And a few words about Ran, of course. Also, he's a very experienced software professional who has worked since 1995 in the field. His first languages were CPM, operating systems using BASIC, as far as that, going back to the middle 80s. Also worked in the environments that used C, C#, C++, and Java. UML, distributed systems, TDD, ATDD, and spec by examples. Those are the, technical nuggets of Ran's toolbox. He currently works with multinational companies with the primary focus on how to move to big products that engulf more than 100 people. And of course, in large-scale Scrum, we did this with less huge. But if it gets to Ran and Ari, we'll talk about this. So today's presentation is about some of the reasons and backstories about failed agile transformations. So without any further ado, I will pass it on to both gentlemen. Ran is going to be, they will be both contributing, and they will be controlling the chat room. So if you want to use it, please use it for the purpose of asking questions, making comments, so they can seamlessly take those that information and put in the content. Okay, much appreciate to both of you. Over to you, Ran, Ari. The floor is, you can start sharing. I'll actually give you the permission to share. Allow to record. Yeah, you can start unless you need me to make a host.
Okay, so, okay. So I tried to share. Okay, now I think.
Now you should be able to.
Yes, now I'm able.
Excellent.
And I'll share my desktop. So I hope it works.
Yes, it does.
It works.
All right, good. So I actually. All right. Because I lost one window. It's probably my screen, so sorry about that confusion. So welcome also on my behalf. And what I'm presenting here is something I've been thinking for years and years, and how to actually express this experience, which comes first times actually since last millennium. So it was born before Agile became popular. All right, so now oh yes, so this is about our company. You have it in the slides also, so I won't talk long. So we are currently 2 people. We had a bit more people earlier, and then some people also left. And it's about what we do. So we are a less coaching company. I have been doing long-term coaching with companies, and Ran is a less trainer. All right, then to the topic. First, I will explain what this guy was finding out. He went to the industry and he had one question. What are the control mechanisms that actually happen in the organizations? And he has background in understanding Japanese management style, and he created this theory set. It's not really about this control mechanism, but something about his background. And we wrote a blog article which is explaining this control things quite thoroughly. And in principle, when he was observing organization, he saw 3 different control mechanisms. The first is the market system. It's a deal. First, you can measure it, what you put in, you can measure what you get out, and you make a deal. And if both parties keep the deal, it's okay. This mechanism works. And of course, the top management works in this way. They make a deal, and if the other party is keeping the deal, then it's fine. If the other party is not keeping the deal, then the mechanism breaks, and the people who have made the deal, they are lost. Okay, what are we going to do now? And the other control mechanism that he found was what he called a clan system. We could call it teamwork. So there's a group of people who work using informal value-based rules. It allows innovation and collaboration, and it's the only mechanism that works for unique, interdependent, or ambiguous tasks. So if we are building software, it's unique, interdependent, and ambiguous. So this is the only control mechanism that works with the actual development. And then there's this bureaucratic system. It's based on written rules and processes, or maybe not written, but exact rules and processes. Like, well, actually a process description, or employment agreement, who is giving work to whom, who is doing what. Roles and responsibilities is a word that you hear really often. And there's a notion about this, that the market system and clan system, this is how Ouchi explained, they are like salmon and trout. They need clear water. They need actually circumstances where the mechanism works. Bureaucracy is like a catfish. It can live in the mud. So if your organization is somehow chaotic, so the bureaucracy works there. And it's more difficult to get the market system work or to get the clan system teamwork work. So in a way, in confusion, bureaucracy wins, which is bad from our perspective. And in large organization, as I already explained, it's quite natural that the business is working in the market control. Teams, developers work with clan control, and middle management works with bureaucratic control. And this middle management is line managers, project managers, maybe some quality managers, HR, I mean, all the people who are coordinating the organization. And the top management works with realities, economical reality, money, shareholders and other companies and so on. And the front-end workers, they work with technical reality. And the middle management with internal reality. It is how we organize ourselves. So the middle management is analyzing, coordinating, intermediating, executing bigger things and so on. And the top management, they work with reward power. They hold money and resources. And the front-end workers, they have the expert power. They are controlling their hands on the keyboard. And the middle management, they are dependent on everyone. So there's politics. And now, if we want to have things better, we want to increase this mechanism that work with realities and have as little bureaucracy as possible. Now, I assume, since we are talking about large organizations, that you listeners, you actually work with big organizations that have this bureaucracy. If you are hesitating, this is from Gary Hamel's latest book, Humanocracy, and he was writing this kind of list, showing what kind of bureaucracy you have in practice in companies. I won't read it through. You can just have an eye on this. But in principle, it's that others plan, others execute. Others decide, others plan, and so on. All right, then 4 minutes video about how people actually are coming into this kind of situation. Now I'm just switching my screen here, so I need to ask from you guys. Do you see coordination chaos video now?
Yes.
Okay, let's try and run. Give me sign if you can hear the sound. Did you hear? No. All right. I need to share it again.
You can play right off YouTube or Vimeo.
Sorry?
Try to play from the source.
I mean, it's we tried it out. It should work now.
Okay.
Is your organization stuck? You have many parallel projects ongoing, but nothing moves. Everyone is waiting for information, resources, or decisions. You spend your time in endless meetings, planning, and rework. You are experiencing coordination chaos. But how did you get there? Here we have Dan. He's heading a fast-growing software-based business. The company is growing using common sense. Everyone focuses on their specialty because that's what they were hired to do. And it seems efficient. Talented, enthusiastic people just make it work. The success is based on the informal communication network. Specialization works, and it becomes the unquestioned norm. So whenever there is a problem, a new kind of specialist is hired or nominated. The number of specialists keeps increasing, and the complexity grows. In order to get things done, the company now hires a coordination specialist. Nina is the project manager. The business grows. More customers, more products, more specialists, more coordinators. The project managers, now headed by Nina, somehow pull it together. They become the heroes who squeeze value out of the messy organization. But the more the organization grows, the more chaotic it gets. Nina's project managers use the best processes and tools, but are not able to create results like before. The key people are torn between several projects. They are working days, nights, weekends, and holidays. They are burning out. Meanwhile, some other specialists are idling because their specialty is not needed at the moment. Experienced people start to leave. The organization has become too complex to be coordinated. The top management sits down to figure it out. Resources are not optimally allocated. The people should focus more on the projects and less on other stuff. We have to tighten the ship, clarify the roles and responsibilities, define detailed processes, measure and reward individual performance. This is what management consultants advise. Unfortunately, the management action breaks the informal knowledge sharing network, and things get even messier. More control and more bureaucrats, but less outcome. The company becomes slow and expensive compared to emerging rivals. The top management tries to find another solution. We still have a strong customer base, but the new competitors eat our profit margin. People are not productive and projects have become slow. We have tried everything, but we are powerless in improving the situation. Let's outsource the problem to a contractor specialized in providing resources. We can then control the contractor by commercial agreements. Nina has studied some lean and agile. She disagrees with the management plan. Dan sees the challenges with outsourcing. The problem is not about people. It is the system. Outsourcing the leadership problem would complicate things even more. But just using lean and agile best practices to improve the coordination does not solve the root cause, which is the over-specialization of the people and fragmentation of the organization. Dan sees the light. We need to think completely differently. The problem is our old thinking, where others think and others do. Others decide and others coordinate. Some companies have taken another path. They trust in customer-oriented learning and cross-functional teams. Project managers are not coordinating plans and resources. The business decision-making is fast and close to the teams. This is possible for large corporations when the top management makes the suitable organizational design and truly supports the learning. There will be discovery, innovation, and business agility. It is motivating and builds a workplace where people stay and grow. Food for thought was provided by Gosei. More details at coordinationchaos.com.
All right, back to slides. I assume you see those. So actually at the page Coordination Chaos, there's a little bit more. There's, for example, some slides about why Nokia mobile phones died because of management by fear, which is also something that happens in this kind of coordination chaos. Why? Well, because the top management, they have only one tool left, which is pressure. And when you put pressure down, people say, yes, of course. It's how you say. So you get lost of reality, and then all kind of bad stuff happens. All right. So another picture about how this coordination chaos happens, how the bureaucracy is built. So down here we have the people, the frontline workers who work with, let's say, code and customers directly and so on. And then at the top we have this executive management, and so the executives, they work with money, they have this market control, and down there the people, they work with the clan control. And then in the middle we are building all kind of coordination structures, typically line management, program, matrix organization, some kind of managers in the middle, and all other kind of, well, structures for quality architecture and so on. And then for the frontline workers, it's the work doesn't work. It's inefficient. It's not satisfactory. You just are living like a mushroom in the dark, fed with manure, and you execute things that are planned by middle management. And what is a real thing here is that there's a huge amount of local detail. You have customer tailoring, you have tailored software in your area, and that huge mass of local detail is something that makes change difficult. Software as an software development has really long karma. I mean, for marketing, you fail in your campaign, well, you do the next. In software, if you do something bad, you are living with that for 20 years and so on. Okay, and the middle management, well, they are managing problems and they are living in silos, so it's actually not very nice there. And the top management is lost because the organization is not able to keep the deal, so they don't know what to do. They have no real transparency to the organization, and they have very limited leverage. As I told, in the worst case, they have only pressure left as their tool. So how do you make a real change in this kind of organization? And if you work according to the existing culture where others plan, others execute, of course you go and you ask advice from someone. You go and look for Spotify model that is kind of sold by big consulting, or you see some success stories, whatever, you go for some framework to start with. And I wouldn't recommend to start with any framework. And then when you have chosen the process you want to implement, then you hire specialized coaches. Typically you go and look for outside experienced coaches. You want to have an army of coaches who would go and change them. Well, it doesn't work. I have seen several attempts, and this big consulting, it's not necessarily big consulting. It could be the internal ivory tower, the process department that is working closely with the management. Okay, I think we'll skip this exercise at this moment. I think I need to keep talking. So I'll go then what we actually need in this situation. is that as an organization, we want to have a path to a solution that is actually improving everyone's life. So the top management, they want to have a deal, they want to have influence in the organization, they need to understand what's happening there. The middle management, there's a huge amount of people there who they are actually having a lot of information. They have a lot of knowledge, they are maintaining the structures of the organization and so on. So they need to have a path how to change those structures into something that works better. We cannot just take them away, that would be chaos. So how can we find a path that is doable also by the coordinators, by the middle management, that is kind of maintaining the system in a working state. And then the change needs to improve the actual work. And who could do this? Now, just briefly, the adoption patterns that we see is that first, agile by tools fails. So just take Jira and then we are agile. So that's, or just take Scrum only and then we are done. And then the next phase is agile by fools, which fails. It is just implement the process. Take a process or success story and just do the same. It doesn't work. We have seen. We don't believe it works that way. But the only way that actually works is that how we can involve the people who know how the organization really works and help them to find out solutions and change. So now I'll make a short path to continuous improvement. So in order to change system to better, we need to have wisdom and power in the same room. It was not there in this layered picture because the wisdom about the front line was not accessible by the executives. So anyway, somehow we need to have wisdom and power in the same room, input from anywhere, retrospectives, whatever, then differentiate between the pain that we want to get rid of and what to do. And for that, we need thorough analysis. My starting point would be A3. It's kind of industry standard. I won't go there in detail. Anyway, it's a very thorough analysis. And then a lot of things goes to archive because we just don't have capacity. We have very limited capacity for change. Now the question is, we have tried it earlier. Who is able and willing and available for this? This is critical question. So the coaching community would be our solution. So how can we build a coaching community or improvement community that is able to do this, to find this path, first to analyze how we are really working and then finding the path. So I have kind of made some space here for the community that is only visual thing. So we need to have here a cross-role, cross-organizational community or network that is making a better analysis of the situation than anyone else can do. And then they change the system little by little and they coach people in their surrounding. And when we have these people coming from different positions, cross-role, cross-organization, coming here, learning to analyze the organization, exchanging what is our reality, where we are working with the real mass of detail, then using the experience and touch to reality of these people, we can make a better analysis than anyone else can do because these people, they actually know how the organization works. So, and I need to give a word of warning. This is not trivial. I mean, I hope I was able to explain in a simple way what you need to do. When you actually start to do it, there's a lot of detail. A lot of kind of small problems where you're running. So what you want to do, you want to have a better than ever analysis how we are actually working, plus competent coaching capacity. That is going back to their position in the organization, and those two together are making continuous improvement. Well, now I told you, this is the pattern that I would recommend you to do. And then it will be resulting in finding your own way, finding your own agile approach. It will change your leadership culture. It's, I mean, teamwork is central in how this coaching network works and how you are able to kind of work better. Working in this coaching community is extremely good talent management. I'm telling by experience, and well, hopefully, most probably, we will improve. It's productivity, sustainability, whatever you want to improve. Okay, now this is what I recommend you to do. Some more data about this. So this golden arrow giving leadership structure and new thinking, you need to have 1 or 2% of full-time internal extremely competent coaches who are able to build the system and who are able to train the internal ones. Then these people who are coming and joining this network, they need some initializations. How would you say? They need to be initialized into how to work here, how to do teamwork when you're doing the analysis, how to do the analysis, what kind of tools you have, how to talk to people, how to talk to your colleagues when you are actually doing this analysis, and how to support the change when you go back to your basic work. And in my experience, in our experience, you need to have minimum 10% of the population to have enough exposure to be able to work here and to support the change. And then when this network grows, not everyone, not all the 10% are all the time working with this analysis and so on. There's a kind of natural healthy distribution. There's a small team, so small core team that is actually working really hard and is the spearhead of learning. Then contributors who are active, some people who participate things like seminars or workshops and so on, and then followers who are positive, who support change in their local environment, but not really participating actively in the network. So this is roughly what happens when you have been working with this, let's say 1.5 years, maybe 2 years or so on. And now my maybe most important message is that this, if you succeed in this creating the better than ever analysis of how this organization really works, that is extremely important for the top management or the executives. If they don't get this information from the coaching network, they will go and look from somewhere else, like consulting companies and so on. Someone who is just selling it in the best way. And this really investing and working and kind of, how do you say, struggling to create this analysis. I mean, that's the key thing. And now, when you have this 4 days of initialization training, so I'll just recite this because I think this is a good slogan or elevator speech. A training program provides skills and experience of teamwork, building personal investment into continuous improvement, unlike habitual workshops and meetings where busyness leads to superficial results. I mean, I have a lot of experience of these superficial results. And why 4 days? It's because we want to have these people as a team. They have experience of teamwork, and then they have that skill to work in the community. And this is just one example of where we have come into, or the content that we like to have. So first, how you talk to people, day 1. Second day, understanding the organization. This applied agile topics line here is the analysis that we have done so far. So how are we working in our organization? What would be a better way to just understand that? Day 3, teamwork, when the training group has kind of actually learned to work together. And only then, when we have these basic things with a training group, then we go into continuous improvement, find pain, and start this A3 work, and then share it with management or sponsors or executives. And of course, not every A3 is successful. Some fail, some dry out, but some are successful, providing that special, better than ever analysis and understanding to the top management. Okay, now this was the pattern. I'll just repeat the takeaways. So, coordination chaos, over-specialization, fragmentation as your cultural instinct to organize. That's the root cause for trouble. We want to have a better working organization, resilient, using teamwork to kind of, because that works better, I want. And also we need to find new structures, because culture follows structure. If we don't change the real boundary conditions, people will fall back to the old ways. If we have new boundary conditions, people will find new ways. So we want to find out what are the best structures. And then it's not a straight path, and continuous improvement is something that is helping us first to find how to do it. And second, this continuous improvement, as I explained, doing retros, then A3s for the biggest pain, it's also focusing and prioritizing our effort into something that is really useful and that is kind of demanding this analysis and better understanding. So that's why it's a solution for many things. And this is making a win-win for two different cultures, different groups in the organizations. So it's a win-win deal with coaching community and executive management. If those people work together, then we have power and wisdom in the same room, finding out what to do. And then knowledge creation, I have already emphasized it. Cross-role, cross-organization, extremely important. That's actually the key. We don't want to continue the over-specialization when we are doing our coaching and transformation strategy. And then use the best external wisdom. All right, now this was my kind of speech about the problem, the solution that we are proposing. And now, Jean, is there something alarming in the chat? Something you want to add?
Rand,
No.
you've been mine, so.
No?
No questions. I think the next slide is a good one that you should go there. How about the 6,000
yeah.
people?
Then
you skipped that. You
yes,
gave this
let's
kind of a
continue.
proposal that 10% it's you need to train, but then maybe not in that case.
Okay, yeah. All right, then what I was proposing so far works for a reasonable size business unit. In the huge company, what you want to do, you want to divide a big whole thing like the company into small wholes. You don't want to divide them into silos or kind of, you don't want to kind of fragment. You want to have as autonomous business units as possible. Some units that are about a couple of hundred people. So for that size of organization, this is another picture. So we have the executives and we have the core team that is working closely with them. And then we have this core team and they are creating knowledge about the organization. And the executives, when they first time get, okay, now this information is really valuable, we don't get it anywhere else, give us more. Then you have closed the deal. Then the executives want to have more and they are kind of really sponsoring and learning from this coaching network. And then the coaching community is also acting as a friendly interface to the reality, the broad reality, and they are driving the change locally. So these people who are initiated to this coaching community. And this is just mentioning 10 to 20% of population and 4 days training. That's the rough figures about this. So this works for, let's say, if we have 300 people's organization or sub-organization, relatively independent unit, then in the end we would have maybe 50 people going through this kind of initial training and maybe 6 people working in the core team. And of course people are kind of moving. Some people in the core team, they work hard there for 6 months, then they go back to something else and someone else is coming there. So this is the basic structure. I don't think this would work with 6,000 people. That's just too much. We need to have then something else. So here we would have this kind of autonomous units. It could be R&D, it could be operations, it could be customer support, sales, marketing, and they all need to find their own solutions for their circumstances. So they have their local work ongoing here. And then we have the top management who's looking for the whole thing. And this conversation here, the red line, would probably work in the quite much with the market control. So it's about the deal. Okay, are you actually reaching your business targets? If not, there's some problem you need to fix. And the solution is delegated down. So please, autonomous business units, please use clan control when you are doing your transformation. We, top management, we don't know how you actually work. And then come back with better performance or whatever. And of course, the top management needs to have their advisors, how they can actually support the business units with their individual parts. And then this team that is supporting the top management also needs to kind of talk. So in principle, something like this. And now it's too easy for the top management to say to external consulting company, please give us the blueprint, and then someone else is going and changing the business units. That doesn't work. And of course, new thinking. So, okay. Thank you, Ran, for reminding. It wasn't actually the whole story yet.
Yes.
All right. Now, what next, Director, Mr. Director?
I think
Just
no questions in the chat that we need to handle. So
okay,
maybe
let's
you can
continue.
go with the failure patterns then.
Failure patterns. That always interests. It's so
Yes.
kind of painfully funny, painfully interesting how these things fail. All right. So the first one, John Kotter is quite known. I mean, he's really famous researcher, opinion leader about how to transform organizations. And this is a quote from interview. And he actually said that if he was kind of facing this need for transformation for a big organization, he would not go to management consulting companies. Now you can imagine in your mind how 28-year-old senior consultants go and observe our struggling organization, maybe some pilots in our struggling organization. They are extracting the best practices, and that's the model. I mean, that's planned to fail. And why companies go here? Because the top management doesn't believe that we have people who are able to do it internally. They don't have time. They are busy in executing their work and so on. So it requires some trust in learning to actually go to the way that we are proposing. Then the recommended role of the coach. and this is kind of global. You can find it in many textbooks and so on. It's that there's some executive sponsor, someone who is saying that I'm paying your salaries so that you can deliver these results. And in change situation, new structures, some surprise for this team or bigger organization. And then the sponsor is also providing some really skilled coach, not any coach, but skilled coach. And then saying, when this team is saying, help, we don't know what to do, then the sponsor is saying, you have a coach, you can ask advice, coaches will help you to actually do things better. So this is a healthy situation. I have experienced this myself, and I have seen it, that the organization, well, just ignores the coaches. They are allowed to hang around and maybe talk to people and give all kind of nice presentations and maybe a good feeling, but they are actually kind of closed out from the real work. So the coaches are actually going to this bubble. It can happen to external coaches and internal coaches. And one very typical thing when this happens is that the top management or sponsor is saying, change them for us. And then the people say, okay, well, you don't have any authority. What are you coming to telling us that we should behave differently? So just go off, go somewhere else. So this is quite typical unhealthy situation, which happens easily if the middle management is trying to change things and delegating the leadership to coaches. All right, then a little bit longer story. So I made a very carefully scripted talk for XP 2020 conference. You can find the link in the blog in our homepage. It's on the front page. And going through a bit similar stuff that we have been talking, and my kind of strong opinion is if you want to have a well-working coaching community, either you have the coaching community or then you are just falling back to coaches just implement the blueprint. And some things about how the coaching community works or doesn't work. So this is a teamwork development in 30 seconds. So Richard Hackman is someone who did actual real research about teams, and he found out 3 major conditions for a teamwork to happen, which is that you have a real team. I won't go to details. Anyway, real team that is kind of right people, clear boundaries and so on. There's a compelling direction that is consequential. Actually, I'm coming back here, so I won't repeat. And then enabling structure. So 3 major conditions. And now if we are looking for the coaching community, this golden bubble here, the compelling direction needs to be clear, challenging, consequential and whole task. And now if the finding better analysis than ever is given to this coaching community, it's clear. Top management says, okay, we want to know. Well, that's not really useful. We are not able to make a decision based on that analysis. Go deeper. So we need something real. So it's challenging. It's consequential. So any people who are actually making this analysis, they are showing the results to the executives. Are they buying it? Is the middle management colleagues, are they buying it? Does it work? Is the team buying it? Does it work? So the continuous improvement work, it's really consequential, and it's a whole task because there's a pain that we want to solve. So it's kind of anything improvement that is relieving the pain works for this goal. So this A3 analysis, continuous improvement that starts with analysis, it's really compelling direction. Real team. If we have a shared task to find this analysis, there's easy to get commitment. We are dependent on the other coaches' information. We are dependent on the information, understanding and contribution of the part-time people participating in this network. And we are authorized by the top management. And we have enabling structures. Executive sponsoring, the right people. We are going and listening to people, so there's collaboration, and we have the 10 to 20% kind of, as I said, the friendly interface to the team's reality. So there are these prerequisites or conditions for real teamwork. And if we are failing this, so if we don't have this assignment from the top management, please give us better than ever analysis of how we really work. Then we are suddenly losing this clear, challenging, consequential whole task. So then the coaching community is no more having the goal. So why would they collaborate? I hear often learning. Well, it's a bit vague if you don't have a reason why you're learning. If learning is just in the, okay, yes, we are supporting learning, then people will just go and learn something that they already know. So we are not really interdependent, because I can go and coach my teams based on the blueprint. I don't need others. Commitment to teamwork to the shared goal, well, there is actually no goal, so commitment, no. Authorized, well, we were not actually invited to improve the system. We are just implementing the blueprint, so it's not a real team. And then, since these conditions were there, well, I guess there was no real sponsoring. Listening to people, maybe. I guess in this case, do we have this 10 to 20%? I don't know. But anyway, 2 of the major conditions are missing, so there is no teamwork. And I have experienced this. If you have a coaching community that is more like a bragging community, who knows the best agile processes, who is doing the most cool things with their teams, and so on. And typically, a team or community that doesn't have this shared goal, well, there's no real reason to collaborate, and it won't be a team. And then, if there's no real community that would give a good, reasonable, shared goal for the coaches, then they will just do what they think is best. So this cowboy coaches who are doing whatever with their teams, it sounds like a negative thing. Well, for the system, it might be random what they're doing. They potentially are doing good local optimization work with their teams. So mostly if you find coaches who are just working with their teams and disagreeing about the system and not really collaborating, the reason is in the system. I have seen some people who actually like to be cowboy coaches, who really like to have autonomy and different ways to kind of have higher status or recognition. They might like this, but usually it's the system that is causing cowboy coaching. Well, I have used the time. Any questions at this moment? Please try to run to the chat. Is there something already?
There was one question, how to do this kind of a continuous improvement properly or in the right way.
Yes, that is actually something that is a very good starting point if you go to organization that really doesn't know what to do. So you have retrospectives and I would start with several medium-sized retrospectives. So maybe 30 people, because then you have more time to talk and so on. And in the retrospective, what you want to find out is that you have list of pain. You really want to focus on, okay, what is not working, and is it really that thing or is it something different? And you come out with a list of pain, and then you have some volunteers who volunteer to take the first round of analysis. So you have maybe a handful, maybe 3 people who take an A3 from a 30 people retrospective. Then you give coaching for those people, how they are doing this analysis. And you advise them, okay, how you are actually refining your title. Is it this problem, or do you want to have another wording? Why is it a problem? Then current state, desired future state, root cause analysis, and the actions. And then you advise them how to go to and interview some other people, how to invite other people to contribute to this A3. And then they have, well, several rounds. Some of these A3s succeed, some don't. But if you have some success stories, then you have done some successful experiments. And then this actually doing this organizational analysis, root cause analysis in these A3s, that is a skill that you learn when you're doing it. I have been doing it now for 25 years. So I have some library in my mind. And you can find those things also in agile literature. If you go to less experiments, the less books are full of experiments. They are examples how you can actually see, okay, maybe this is relevant for our organization. Maybe it is helping. We can include that understanding into this A3. And you have all kind of value stream mapping. You can have the lean experience, or then queuing theory. Reinertsen's books has some hints what you can do and so on. And also going to organizational culture. Why are we always automatically doing these things? Originally it solved some problem. Nowadays it doesn't anymore. So why? What could we do? So these kind of things you can include in this A3 when you are coaching it. And then when you have some successful A3s, then you can kind of somehow stabilize the thing, standardize, so you have a meeting where actually you're presenting things to management, and always finding creating knowledge about how we are really working, creating new vocabulary for the conversation in the organization. I mean, that's, in my opinion, the key thing. When people, for example, this coordination chaos, if let's assume that there's a company which is in coordination chaos, people think that adding coordination, adding new roles and responsibilities is the way to solve problems. Then they understand, okay, coordination chaos, actually that's a dead end. Then coordination chaos becomes part of the vocabulary in that organization, and people making decisions, they think, okay, actually we don't have more coordination chaos, we want actually have other kind of solutions. So that's an example how new thinking and results from the analysis would change the organization. And then one thing that you can find out is that, all right, we have this product area here, about 50 people, maybe less is the best way to organize that development. Then you go and have this deep and narrow change in that area. So I would go for real thinking and analysis before rushing into less. Less will come by the time. And I believe the more thoroughly you think, the more benefits you have in this less approach.
Hey, Ari.
All right, time is running. 1 minute left.
Wanted to chime in for a second.
Time's up.
I think you're great. I know people would like, but some people may wish to stay for longer and have questions asked, or
Okay, that's fine with me. Yes.
But we typically wrap on the hour. I can keep the channel open. Let me ask you this question to the audience, folks. Do you have any questions you would like to ask of the of Ren and Ari?
I have a ton, but
Oh,
I can select one.
Sure, throw one.
Let me first put on the camera just so that it's a bit more personal. Let's see. Keep. All right, tell me when you see me because this thing is not. I can see myself. I hope you can see me too.
Just go.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
All right, so there's a lot of topic been mentioned here. The role of the coach of the organization, the many parties he's working with, the various realms of reach that he has to work with, the team topologies, the communication patterns, etc. I don't even know where to start with all of this.
Okay. Well, how I have seen this happen, there are actually two paths. One path is that there's someone in the organization who is starting this. They are the first ones to think, okay, we need to change in a different way. First, we need to understand how to understand where we are. And that person is starting. It can be maybe someone in the quality management hierarchy, or usually that is a person who has some natural kind of interest in how the system works, how the organization works, how to lead people in change. And that person is collecting some people around him or her and then trying to do the analysis, getting in contact with the sponsors, the managers, and getting some resources to do the first step. And it's just a small experiment. Maybe that would be useful. So from the management perspective, okay, sounds nice. We have tried all kind of things, so let's give it a try. And then if this is successful, it will expand. The other alternative that I have seen is that the line management is actually the top management of this in relatively independent unit. They see that, okay, we need to do something differently, and they start to learn these things as management team, and then they will find new things and they start the coaching. And I have seen this change by how would I say educated management or change by wise management happen in Finland. The transformation of Ericsson Kirkkonummi happened that way. The management actually was leading the way. In Nokia, I was usually seeing the other way, that there was someone, not actually the managers or decision makers, who would be driving this. There were some other people driving, and the decision makers, they, okay, yeah, let's go that way. You told us what to do next. It sounds reasonable. We believe it works. Let's go that way. So it usually starts small. And then when you are successful starting small, then you might use the numbers, for example, that I was proposing here, or when you are having the next step, you want to somehow standardize, you want to expand the successful experiment, then you want to go to this training of the part-time coaches and so on. Was this helpful at all?
Yes, it's all helpful. I just
okay. Thank you.
It must be very, very tough to do in real life.
It's I don't see this very much, so it must be tough.
It's an interesting thing that happens in some organizations. Some people get interested about it. They invite some Ari to talk about these things, and then management gets this kind of a buy-in about it, and then something starts happening there. You have more and more workshops there, and you start creating this kind of a pull for that, and then you start from some part of organization and you see that what really works there. If it starts working there, then it starts expanding.
Yeah. I feel like there's a big behavioral component. I don't want to use the word culture because it drives me crazy the way it's been it's being fluffily used, but the behavioral component, very specific to teams. And since you cannot talk about such a thing as a corporate or organizational behavior, because you can talk about trends or working styles, etc., but it can change drastically from team to team. I hear from the words of Ari that there's a behavioral component with regard to problem solving and innovation. So A3, I've known it in the software industry, was reused from Porsche. I mean, I know it comes from Japan. It was used when I was working for the biggest software company here in Germany, and we were using it to solve very well scoped small performance and for innovation, but it became a big problem to spread it
Yes.
of these small teams, and that's when I talk about the behavioral components.
Yes. As Ron said, it's quite a lot about luck. If you find the right sponsor, if you find the executive that actually is interested, has the power and is able to sponsor your first steps, I mean, that's, if you don't find that person, then, well, it doesn't happen. And then about this A3 and behavioral thing, I mean, two things. Yes, I hear a lot of fluffy stuff about culture, how to change culture, how to teach mindset to people and then hope that things will change. Well, I don't believe that. I think how Edgar Schein was explaining culture is very robust way, and you can use that to study how how people in the organization typically automatically behave in certain kind of situations. And sometimes you can really find out, for example, why is this company always promoting these harsh project managers? I mean, in one company, one German company, this was a question that was brought out by every training group. So why are we always kind of promoting these whippers? So understanding the reasoning why culture works in a certain way can be very beneficial. And then one intervention in the organization is to introduce teamwork and starting from somewhere. I don't believe that you can very easily just kind of divide people into new teams and then say, okay, now just go and do teamwork. To me, teamwork is a bit broader thing. It can happen in bigger parts of organizations. Let's say even 20 or 30 people can do fluent teamwork when they are working. So it means they communicate and they collaborate and so on. And then triple can also work very fluently or not. So you can kind of one improvement that you could find or include in your A3s could be how to improve teamwork here, and then trying to do that real, not just kind of by fluffy talk. And that would be changing culture. In our first project last millennium, actually, we started by introducing teamwork into R&D. And the next year we changed our transformation name to teamwork. No, it was actually work development. So we were kind of starting thinking, okay, teamwork is cool, everyone needs to do teamwork. And then we realized that actually trying to improve how you work is the key. That's the driver.
Very quick,
Yes, please.
quick question. So you talked about creating a set of coaches through a training program.
Yes.
So is that training program, do you recommend that very specifically for the organization, or could there be a training program outside the ambit of the organization to create such what I would call change agents who
Yes.
then equally would go and then seed this kind of change within other organizations?
Okay, I try to elaborate that question. So in this presentation, there's a kind of rough schedule and content for a training program that would be my kind of default when I go into some organization. So it would be changed based on the organization's needs and culture and so on. It is much more useful when the members are all coming from the same organization, same kind of business unit. So having this kind of training program as a kind of, how would you say, public training, so it wouldn't be really useful. And then I just a couple of details about this. So this training program that I was showing, it was for the coaches in the coaching community, how to actually kind of lead the change locally in my environment, how to contribute to this coaching community in doing this analysis. In addition to that, if you need to have technical coaching, technical training, you need to have some sources for understanding the organization. You could have less training, kind of all those patterns and systems thinking that is coming from less training. So that is on top. So this 4 days is kind of how you do this coaching and leading change. And then one minor thing, I really want to see in this kind of trainings, these part-time coaches, some of them are line managers, some of them are quality managers, some of them are senior developers, some are kind of talented, potential young people who just kind of need to be there. And then it's not a good idea to have one kind of department manager and people under him, because then those people don't talk. So you want to have department manager and all the other people from some other department. So kind of, how would I say, like a diagonal participation pattern.
Interesting. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for the question.
Right, should we wrap it up soon, Gene? How does it look like?
Yeah, we probably want to, because we have people dropping. I think what I would like to do is to make your guys' information, contact information, readily available, and I do have it. So so I'll just share it on the page. So anyone who has any additional questions or would like to take you on one-on-one, they can do so.
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll make it very transparent. So yeah, other than that, I really want to personally thank you. I mean, taking your time, coming out here on Sunday night for you and doing this for us here. Well, actually, not just for us here, everywhere around the globe, everyone around the globe. So thank you very much for this. I will finish the recording as soon as we finish. I will start the recording upload, and as soon as we finish it, I'll make it available within a few hours, and hopefully the deck that we have from you will be visible to everyone, not just some people. Maybe it has to do with propagating information from,
probably.
Maybe it has to do with that. But other than that, thank you very much for coming, and let's share more information, more great stuff. And this was a great presentation and great insight, and some of the great nuggets, about consulting agencies and bureaucracy. And this is a pretty pressing stuff these days. Okay, well,
Thank you. Thank you very much for organizing this. Thank you very much for organizing this.
Thank you very much for being here.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Gene, for organizing and having us here. It was great.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Bye.